Seems like every single time we turn around, we're back under some sort of weather impact alert. And right now, we have a decent one for a good amount of wind. And we're talking serious enough wind that I think it is of pretty major concern. Our weather impact alert runs through 7 a.m. tomorrow for gusts around 35 to 55 miles per hour. We have already clocked some seriously strong wind gusts, and I think we're still hours away from the worst of it. It's the secure loose objects, and just know you might encounter some power outages. It is probable that we see a couple of those tonight. Power outages are always a hard thing to come across. Sometimes it doesn't take a big gust. Sometimes it takes a huge gust to make it happen. So far, we have seen some pretty strong winds and a ton of rain. Wind and rain aren't really going anywhere this week. Thankfully, we are likely through some of the worst of what we will see this week. However, they do stick around as temperatures soar. We're near 50 degrees all week long. It is December. This is getting to be a little bit ridiculous. The East Coast is enjoying some nice cold weather while we're just scorching over here. Wind advisories are in effect from the National Weather Service through 7 a.m. tomorrow. These are basically saying, hey, it is enough that we know it is going to cause problems. We're not quite at that threshold of wind warnings for the wind strength. Wind will gust to almost 60 miles per hour, but you have to be up over 60 miles per hour to find yourself under a high wind warning. That being said, with almost a half an inch of rain in the past 48 hours, it is very, very likely that we will still see some damage out of this. Wind is going to stay strong overnight. We have already seen strong wind gusts. 41 miles per hour in Richland, 40 here in Spokane, around 22 miles per hour in Coeur d'Alene and up in the Silver Valley. Pullman 37, and once again, I think our peak wind is going to be somewhere around 11 p.m. tonight. 11 p.m. for us, 45 to 55 miles per hour here in eastern Washington. Strongest across the Palouse, making its way into parts of North Idaho. It should start to subside by around 1 a.m. As it subsides, we'll stay breezy tomorrow morning, catch a break tomorrow afternoon, and then catch our next round of wind late Wednesday into Thursday. But by Thursday afternoon, we should actually start to see that wind calm down. So everything is coming in rounds this week. The first round, pretty significant, 45 to 55 mile per hour winds tonight. The next round, Wednesday night, 20 to 30. A far cry from what we're seeing tonight. That means wind will be less frequent and less detrimental. Tonight is the big deal. That's why we're under that weather impact alert. Here's the storm. A storm moving through British Columbia with a frontal boundary over the northwest. That is our classic wind maker. But also, if you take a look at our satellite imagery, you can see a ton of moisture, and you can trace that moisture all the way out over the Pacific. So this is our atmospheric river, and that means a ton of moisture, not just snow, but rain. And rain because we're pulling in so much warmth. Remember that storm right around Thanksgiving? Same exact setup. The difference was we had a quick injection of cold out ahead of that storm. This time we just don't have it, so we're on the warm side of the precipitation spectrum. That means everything that falls in high elevations is likely going to be rain out of this one. That's true for the Cascades and the Northern Rockies, even into parts of western Montana. It is going to be that kind of warm out of this system. And with that steady warmth and moisture, snowmelt and runoff are going to be big concerns this week. Our flood watches remain in effect through Thursday because even though we saw a ton of rain today, we are not even close to being done with it. Notice it's coming down as rain all the way up until almost the top of Lookout Pass. It's coming down as rain over Snoqualmie Pass and likely staying that way overnight with our warm wind continuing. Tomorrow, I think it is likely that we dry out to start the day. Wind dies down once we dry out, but then we get our next push of moisture starting to move in later in the day. And this is a warm one. It's coming in out of the southwest once again, so that's what's going to help bump our temperatures up. Tomorrow, we're going to be every bit as warm as we were today. And with rain coming down through a good chunk of it, it winds up looking a lot like today. No, sorry, tomorrow night. Tomorrow, we're dry in the afternoon. brain's turning into a bit of mush with all of this going on. By Wednesday morning, we'll see another little bit of that gusty wind, and that's when the wind picks up after that frontal boundary moves through. And by Thursday, it starts winding down as some of our moisture moves out of the region. So all the way through Thursday at 5 p.m. This is likely what we see in terms of rainfall. We're talking inches of it over on the west side. For us here in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, about a half an inch on top of what we've already seen in the past 2 days, 48 hours, Sunday to today, not even 48 hours. We have picked up, well, let's just call it 30 hours, almost a half an inch of rain already. So we're talking an inch total by the time we hit Thursday. That is incredible. Even parts of central Washington picking up a bunch. Sandpoint, an inch and a half, Lookout Pass. We're talking the rainwater equivalent close to 4 inches. If that were snow, we would be talking feet and feet and feet of snow. You have to go up pretty high this time. Unfortunately, snow levels are going to climb to around 5,000 feet, even a little bit higher, with how warm we are going to be here in the next couple of days. It's kind of wild. Here's why this is. Our warm wet pattern comes not just from our atmospheric river, but also from a ridge building overhead. It's kind of a big combo. We're right on the northern end of that ridge. So all of that warmth down to the south plays a role in what we wind up seeing as we just keep pumping moisture into the northwest. Tons of it across eastern Washington, western Washington, and even up into Canada. This is a big, big weather maker these next couple of days. As the rain tap kind of shuts off, we build in this even more pronounced ridge. And that is where, as we get closer to the weekend, we get rid of a more guaranteed chance of rain and switch it out for a few more clouds and scattered showers as our temperatures soar. So we are seriously hot through the weekend, like seriously, seriously hot with our storm sitting all the way off the coast. This thing, not really a factor, but something that we all should look at and go, seriously, when can we just get some snow? Let's just do the snow thing, because we are far from it here in Spokane anytime soon. I will admit, I did confidently say, this is the year we're going to get a white Christmas. I was so excited that we would get cold and snowy and have the potential for a white Christmas. But instead, our average highs, let's just average out the next week. We are near 50 degrees every single day. On average, we're supposed to be in the mid-30s, falling to the low 30s over the course of the next couple of weeks. We are almost 20 degrees above the seasonal norm, both day and night. That is incredible. This will likely go into the record books as one of the warmest Decembers we have ever seen. Couldn't have been more wrong with that long-range winter forecast, because if we then run out those longer-range forecast models another week, this is taking us into next week. So all the way through the end of next week, it looks like our temperatures stay well above those seasonal norms, and our moisture likely comes down in the form of rain. So there's no big shift toward colder, snowier weather. Instead, it looks like this December doldrum of clouds and warm temperatures and rain is just kind of what we're stuck with. Our weather impact alert runs tomorrow morning, runs overnight and through tomorrow morning. Once again, we are already seeing those winds pick up, and those strongest winds are going to be around 11 p.m. tonight. They will start to die down after 1 a.m. So 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. our biggest concern for some of those winds. 11 p.m. likely our peak, but I would say don't count on it dying down until after 1 a.m. By tomorrow afternoon, I think we're calm. I think we don't really have concerns about rain. I think we don't really have concerns about wind. Once the sun goes down, we will see our next round of rain move in, and that takes us into a soggy Wednesday. But look what it does to our temperatures. We top out at 51 degrees on Wednesday. The chance of rain starts to move out on Thursday, and another high near 50, or if not in the 50s for most of us. And then this weekend, we're a little drier. Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday wind up just a little bit drier. But even then, those temperatures are some 10 to 15 degrees above the seasonal norm. So we are talking a huge bump in temperatures taking us through the weekend and likely a good chunk of next week. Our active weather is not done once we get through tonight's wind, but tonight's wind is going to be our most impactful weather we see in the next week.